Welcome to a special edition of the Fever Report with John and Michelle. Today, joining John Robertson and Michelle Garmon are Mike Hutsell and Sam Frick, talking about another season-ending injury, how it all got this way and what it means. And we will not have a reaction podcast following Friday night's game because it's the opening night of Friday Night Football, but we will have a Fever Report on Saturday again with John and Michelle. And at the end of this podcast, he gave you a great teaser.
You're listening to a special edition of the Fever Report. Today, Greg, John Robertson, and Michelle Garmon are joined by Mike Hutsell and Sam Frick. And here's your host, and my favorite person in the world, Greg Mingeld. You made me say that.
Welcome, Fever fans, of the Central Indiana Sports Report and a special edition of the Fever Report. I think the plan, John and Michelle, is still to do one on Saturday between the two Lynx games, but we had to do one tonight because more bad news.
Well, the official news that comes out today, Sophie Cunningham is out for the season. So yet another guard down for the Fever.
Brutal.
You can say bad luck. You can say Indiana's basketball teams are cursed right now if you want, or you can say that the WNBA is allowing people to just play incredibly dirty against Indiana, and I think that's the actual case. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to die on the hill that right now other players are targeting Fever players, and they're letting it get, and the WNBA is just letting it happen.
Well, Bria Hartley, she's been doing this to other players. Have you been seeing the social media clips? Her play of late has been, she's been very, it's not basketball play. It is just thug play.
Sure, I agree with you, Michelle. She's been doing it to other players, but it's not just one player that's doing it. Like, look at the Phoenix game. Look at how hard, like, AT was dirty against the Fever, and we lose Sid Colson and Ari McDonald to ridiculous stuff. I feel like it's been going on all season, and we've gotten to the point that we've added enough games that the players are already fatigued, and then when they're being attacked by people that just don't like them, we have so many injuries. So, I mean, it's probably partially just bad luck, but I do think that the WNBA has to get the reffing under control and, like, get these games. Like, you can say it's a physical league all you want, but when you have this many injuries to guards, it's ridiculous. And I'm pretty frustrated with it.
I do think it's ridiculous because I think that the officiating is just so inconsistent on what they allow and what they don't allow. You can't have some of your best players and your marketable players, and I'm sorry, Alyssa Thomas, you're not a marketable player anymore. I mean, you're on the other side of the hill going down. You're not climbing and you're rising, and I can't help it. The WNBA wasn't in the spotlight fan-wise like it is now, but you should enjoy it and reap the benefits from it instead of go out and be nasty about it.
But can we agree that the league is supported by two different types of fans? I'll even go as far as three types of fans if you want to separate the purely Caitlin Clark people as their own thing. Like, but there's the newer fans that care about basketball and are enjoying the fast paced game, and then there's the old guard that only cares about the activism and the nonsense. And like the activism nonsense people do not want to see the Fever be successful, and they cheer and love all this injury, and the league doesn't know who to support, so they're just like, let's just try and keep everybody happy by letting them attack the Fever and break the players. I don't know, it just really hit me wrong. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the league. I love watching the Fever, and I go to lots of games, and I watch other games. I have NBA or WNBA League Pass, so it's not like I'm only a Fever fan, but like I'm pretty tired of watching it with what they're allowing to happen.
No, I agree, and I don't like that activism, that old fan base. They're not about basketball, and I will agree with you. I think there are three types of fan bases just because, and I think the part is, I think that third fan base, the obsessed Caitlin Clark group, I think they agitate and make it worse. It's just like this. I don't know if you saw the tweet today. They were talking about, somebody tweeted about Kelsey Mitchell and that she's been doing an elite score level for 2 years, and how important she's been to Fever this year, and these Caitlin Clark obsessed fans are like, "Oh, what do you mean? I can't believe you forget all about Caitlin Clark and everything." And it's like you can appreciate Kelsey Mitchell. There's nothing that post said. Didn't even mention Caitlin. It wasn't even in comparison.
Caitlin shouldn't have to say anything. Caitlin's staying out of it.
She shouldn't.
You know,
she should not.
It's not her fault. Joining John and Michelle and myself today is Mike Hutsell and Sam Frick. Let's bring them in now, starting with Mike Hutsell. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to go back to kind of what John and Michelle were just talking about there. You know, you could almost compare the Caitlin Clarkies to a group of people that I absolutely loathe in this world, and those are the Swifties. I don't have a single issue with Taylor Swift. It's the people that like
Mike.
Taylor Swift that I can't stand. I don't have a problem with Caitlin Clark. I don't think anybody should have a problem with Caitlin Clark, but the people that just can't have a rational conversation. So I think that's where a lot of the animosity comes from, is because all this praise and everything that's being heaped on Caitlin by this like hive of people, this weird like cultism of Caitlin Clark. She's a tremendously talented player. She is transcendent. She is the LeBron James, Michael Jordan of this league. She's brought so many eyes to this league, and it's just created jealousy because people hate what's the most popular thing. And but then there's this entire like web of people who just can't have a rational conversation about her because they're fanboys, they're fanatics. So Clark her fans are kind of the Swifties of the WNBA, and it's just created so much animosity that's spilled over to the Fever franchise.
I agree with everything you said, but I think we have to separate, like, because I would consider myself a Caitlin Clark fan, and I think there's lots of rational Caitlin Clark fans who absolutely love her, but it's the extreme weirdos. It's kind of like with anything, the small wackadoo extremists are always the loudest ones, and people go nuts. I responded to a tweet yesterday because somebody was ripping on how the Indiana fans don't love Kelsey Mitchell, and I'm like, the majority of us do. We all love Kelsey Mitchell, and we all scream for her at games and cheer for her as loudly as we can. It's just the extremely vocal Twitter idiots are the ones that don't.
We on this podcast were trying to get her in the MVP discussion just a few episodes ago. I don't think it's that the fan base hates Kelsey Mitchell whatsoever.
Yeah, we love her.
No, we do love her. Here's the thing, and that those Clark, like you said, Michael, we'll call them the Clarkies, I guess. It's just like there was a tweet about Paige Beckers setting the franchise record for assists. All those Clarkies went nuts. Caitlin Clark, that's not, and they didn't see franchise record. Well, Caitlin Clark can't set the Dallas franchise record because she's not a member of the Dallas Springs.
And that also brings up, there's a lot of different players that have their own sub little fan groups. Like Angel Reese has her, whatever, I forget what they're called.
Reese's Pieces, I think.
Sure, they have something, and then Paige Becker's fans are so they all have these little pockets, and I mean we can all be fans of Cameron Brink just because, I mean, without needing
I
love.
That's an island of one.
This is kind of modern sport where everybody has their fandoms, but I feel like it's exacerbated in the WNBA where like they can't like anyone else. It's like if you say anything about someone, you have to acknowledge their favorite or you're just wrong, or you have to acknowledge their demographic or you're a bigot or whatever. And that's just very tiresome. I just want to watch basketball.
That's the other thing is so much of this league, and we've talked about it before, it almost feels like a job just trying to be a fan of this league because you have to like just listen to all these tiresome debates and all this conversation about everything except what's going on the floor. And now you have to break down a photo of Bria Hartley, like just absolutely like grinning about what looking like she hurt Sophie, whether or not that was actually real or not. The photo was real, but whether or not she was like laughing about hurting her, now we have to debate that. It looked
really bad, though. Let's discuss that it looked really bad. I don't know if they just happened to catch a bad snap, like moment of the action, but like that photo made me angry as a Fever fan and a fan of Sophie.
Pretty inconclusive, John. It could be she was grunting and making that face.
I
hard
get you.
to say. Exactly.
I get it, but man, I'm telling you, like photos evoke emotions. I agree with you. It's probably just a bad snap, but it's kind of like that dunk, the Furphy dunk on the one guy. The guy looked like he pooped his pants in midair, right? Like,
let's bring in Sam and get his thoughts on the entire situation.
First off, it is a pleasure to be on this show talking about the Indiana Fever. Boy, as women's basketball grown so much in the last several years or so, I remember being in attendance for opening game against the Chicago Sky. My sister enjoying basketball, getting to talk about basketball, something that we don't always have in common with sports, and getting here to enjoy the game of women's basketball and talking about it. You know, she cheers for a different team, but watching that game, the opening game, seeing that Caitlin Clark triple-double, watching what this team could look like when they're healthy, you can see the potential there. And I think the thing that's most fortunate is when we look back at this season, we're going to be looking at a lot of what ifs. The whole thing with DeWanna Bonner, right? The injuries, the Clark situation with the growing, right? Now with Sophie Cunningham being hurt. Ari McDonald, what a story. We forget this so much about Ari McDonald coming in, having an amazing story after being cut by the LA Sparks and whatnot, having a great season by Ari McDonald standards until that injury. Right. Aaliyah Boston had a great start to the season as well. And I think we look back at this season as it was a season full of potential, but unfortunately with the bad luck of the injuries, the physicality of the league, maybe going a little too far and whatnot, I think it puts the Fever in this situation where it's a lot of what ifs. What's interesting about this season is we're still in a playoff position and we have all these injuries right now. And that's the thing that's amazing about this season is even if we don't do anything in the playoffs, the fact that we're even knocking on the door, getting invited, getting into the dance in the playoffs is way better right now than what we were in 2022 when there were only about 1,000 people in attendance, right? You can feel the energy with the Indiana Fever, with Caitlin Clark, the fans they have there. You got the Lexi Hall fans. We forget so much about what Lexi Hall brings on both ends of the floor.
We don't forget about Lexi Hall on this show. I'll tell you that much. We definitely do not forget about Lexi Hall on this show.
We do not forget Lexi Hall on this show. No.
She's the official favorite of the Central Indiana Sports Report. Although I want to say this as well. Thank you, Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. Otherwise, this season would be just completely mess.
Can we get Aaliyah and like bubble wrap or something? I mean,
no kidding.
We can't get something bad happen to her or to Kelsey or to Lexi.
My biggest question is, like, I agree with all what you're saying. Like, it was I picked the Fever to win the championship before this even started. Before we made all the trades, I made a bet on them at like 10-1 because I thought it was a solid bet. I think it's no good now, and I'm not that worried about it. But like, the complication is with the expansion draft for 2 teams next year, who do we protect and what does our roster look like next year? I agree that there's not much chance that they go far in the playoffs this year. Even if they make the playoffs, I think we're maybe a one and done.
As long as they're healthy, they'll be all right.
I think that's a really good question because I think not even just next season, but in the many years to follow, aside from 2027, I think is the only year that we don't have an expansion team, right? Because there are going to be several expansion teams for the next 5 years. So not only counting what's coming up next season, but you got teams in Detroit, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and whatnot. And don't forget, this coming off season, about 80% of the leagues are going to be free agents as well. So what you're seeing today, so I think the Fever, much like all of us, I think they're probably pondering what that roster is going to look like next season, how they're going to build around Caitlin Clark. Can they continue to convince Kelsey Mitchell about the vision of the Indiana Fever, get Aaliyah Boston committed into that process and whatnot, and then try to build that roster from there. Because I think you can tell on paper when the team is healthy and everything is at least clicking to the level we think, this is a team that can compete with the likes of Minnesota, New York, Vegas, all sorts of things like that. I think right now is there's just that sense of short-term uncertainty as to what free agency to look like. And oh, by the way, we have the CBA situation right now, which is currently ongoing as we speak.
Yeah, that was something I was going to bring up here in a minute because I have thoughts on that too. But back real quick before we move on, I think that Kelsey, Aaliyah, and Caitlin have built a friendship that goes beyond just their word. Like, I really truly believe they are in it together, kind of like the Pacers were, like the power of friendship. I really think I don't think they're going anywhere. I worry beyond that 3 who we have. If we lose Lexi Hall, I'll be the saddest person in Indiana. We've talked about this a couple times, guys, and I think I don't know if you were in agreement or not, but I think the league's expanding too fast, and I think that's gonna hurt the overall quality of basketball.
I worry about that as well. And then just the situation with Connecticut alone is already a mess in itself. I know the league's been trying to get Houston involved as well. And so that's already a mess there. So I worry about maybe the league going a little too fast and maybe the sense of maybe being overly saturated, if you would, of talent. So I worry about that just a hair as well.
Maybe a little bit. I think growing too fast and thinning out teams. But I'm going to tell you what, I have watched women's basketball and women's college basketball for years. I'm not a casual fan. In fact, I probably have seen more women's games in the last 2 to 3 years than men's games. And there's a lot of really good players in the women's college basketball right now. And I'm telling, and
yes,
now granted, they're still a couple years away, but they can make.
That was my argument, Michelle, when John was saying they were expanding too fast, and he might be right still, but there's so much talent coming.
Oh, you're expanding too fast for talent. I just think maybe some of the other stuff.
Think about it like this, though. With all the injuries that the Fever have had this year, how many times they've had to go to the street and just get somebody off the street who should very easily be on a roster. Ari McDonald was not on an active roster.
Crazy,
isn't it? She was a street free agent. They just got her.
We yawned when
Grace Berger struggled.
Signed.
Grace Berger struggled to find a role for months. She was signing 7-day contract after 7-day contract. She finally found a rest of the season deal. That's the type of player that is just not, because there's not enough spots right now. Now, John said he'll be the most upset person in the world if Lexi leaves. I think the most upset person in the world is whoever gets drafted to the city of Detroit. So yeah. I do feel bad for.
I agree.
I'm sure there's plenty of talent. Like that's not my concern. My concern is like getting fan bases that we're going to support these teams and make it viable, because it looks really bad if you are like getting a team in Detroit again and they fall off again. It's just a bad look, and I think that overexpansion too quickly is just not good for the league. And the other bad look for the league is going to be if we have a lockout in the middle of the playoffs, which I think is going to happen.
As the expert on Philadelphia in this group, they don't care that they're getting a WNBA team.
No, you're gonna have another
They'll care every time Caitlin comes to town. That's it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You're going to have an empty stadium except for when Indy comes to town, or maybe Dallas at this point.
That's the thing.
I bet they end up playing at the Palestra. I'm almost willing to bet they'll play home games at the Palestra.
But here's the thing.
The WNBA office is stupid. That's the whole point I've been trying to make this entire time. They don't know who to take care of. They don't know whether they want to support people who like basketball or if they want to support activists. And that's why the WNBA is terrible at business and has not been profitable for a long time. Caitlin Clark's amazing and generational, and I love her so much, and she's the reason that there's eyes on the league, but you can't tell me there hasn't been talent in the past that they haven't promoted. The WNBA league office is dumb. They're just dumb.
They do everything they can to make me not want to be a fan.
They do the exact opposite of what you expect.
On the other hand, have done pretty much everything right to make me continue being a fan, which is why I'm still a fan.
Yeah, I'm still a fan because Caitlin brought the eyes, and then she's gotten people to fall in love with everyone around her. So thank you to her. I'm not a Clarkie, but I do love Caitlin, but like it's made me care even more about Kelsey Mitchell. It's made me really pay attention to Aaliyah Boston. It got me my favorite player in the world, Lexi Hall. The Fever's done everything to market correctly. And I even know the Clarkies get mad when the Fever socials are posting about other players and they're not putting Caitlin on the front of the graphics and whatnot, but they have to build a brand around everyone, letting Caitlin lead it. They can't just only market one player, because if the player ends up hurt or gone, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And my graphics include everyone, John.
What are those Clarkies going to do when Caitlin decides that she's going to get married and she's going to take a year off because she wants to have a kid, a child? I mean, how are those Clarkies going to react?
They're going to hate the baby. They're going to be pissed off at the baby. And they're going to want to sacrifice it.
They'll hate the significant other.
Oh, they already, so a lot of them already do.
But imagine what ESPN would say. Oh, no Caitlin Clark for a year. What can we do? We gotta get somebody else on.
Well, yeah, but they hate Caitlin Clark too, because there are two sides to this war in the WNBA. It's kind of obvious, and the Fever on one side, and a lot of them are on the other. And ESPN, of course, is always the enemy.
Yeah, no.
I want to talk about my conspiracy theory about the lockout situation. I don't know if I've told you guys about it or not yet, but I have this belief that definitely the CBA was going to lock out regardless of whatever the deal was if the Fever were in the hunt for a championship. I think that was a back pocket play by the players that don't like Caitlin or the Fever. I still think there's a chance that we get a lockout.
JFK stuff.
I'm telling you, I truly think that the level of hatred for the Fever runs that deep.
Well, John, let's talk more about that on Saturday. That was a really nice teaser there. On Saturday, I want to get the full conspiracy. How's that?
That's an ultimate tease, man.
There you go.
I was just having issues with Breonna Stewart being on the board when she literally owns a competing league, but man, you've gone a next level with it. So,
well, that all does play into the deal. So there you go.
Same bat time. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks so much to John, Michelle, Sam, and Mike. Once again, please join us again on Saturday for our regularly scheduled Fever Report, where John will reveal his Kennedy-like conspiracy theory. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast with a Fever fan in your life and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.